Grand Rising family. All high frequency beings, thanks for tapping in once again. This video here, it's gonna be a joint video for my YouTube and my and TikTok. So after the 10 minutes transpire, you can go to my YouTube channel for the complete video. The link is in the bio. But this video is gonna be about a few things as far as recent nefarious tactics being done, how they're affecting us etherically and physically, and these wars that they say they're having amongst each other, who they really involve, and just how things are continuing to transpire here in this ascension process. So first, I'll start off by saying we should all be adhering and following our alkaline vegan diets at this point in time, and we should also be staying up with our herbs, on a daily basis, as far as keeping our immune system strong, because these things work in tandem as far as our bioelectric and electromagnetic field being concerned. As many of us know, these diseases, even these diseases that aren't chronic, like these cold symptoms and stuff, it's a dis-ease of our energy, and it's an attack on our bioelectric and electromagnetic fields. Everything is energy. You know what I'm saying? That's why you feel weak when you quote unquote get sick, because it's an attack on your energy. So we should be taking these herbs in conjunction with keeping certain crystals on us to shield us from EMFs and things like that. Crystals also can have an effect on your immune system and your bioelectric field as well. So like recent things they doing, because there will be a significant solar storm, quote unquote, and solar flares hitting this plane in the next 24 to 48 hours for the next few days. You know what I mean? So they've been deploying a lot of short-term tactics. I'll get into the long-term tactics in a second. But they've been deploying a lot of short-term tactics to really, really boggle things down on low frequencies and to keep it cold right now. That's why it's been so cold the first 2 days of this week. And Saturday and Sunday, you may have noticed a lot of chemtrails and stuff going on and stuff like that. And when they fly these things and they do all this stuff in the atmospheres, and then they turn these 5G towers like sky high all the way up, they affect our electromagnetic fields, and which works, like I said, in tandem with our bioelectric fields. That kind of weakens us in an energetic state and puts us in a sense where we might feel like sick a little bit, or get a cold, or just little things like that. Like I said, it won't last, but and when you realize you've been eating right, you don't really go outdoors, you keep yourself, pretty proper as far as your energy is concerned, you realize this is a direct attack on your energy, because you're not doing nothing to get sick. So these short-term effects, that's pretty much what they have. Things they doing on, and then I hope most of us are aware of the 5G, the way it affects our bodies as well. Like I said, being our electromagnetic fields, giving us headaches, drowsiness, tiredness, sleepiness. Your legs might fall asleep more often than usual. These are just small symptoms of the towers being turned up. I know up north, I've been hearing from a lot of people that there was everybody was feeling the same symptoms for the last couple of days. That's because they turned these towers up, and they've been flying around a lot of stuff in the sky to make it as cold as they possibly can get it. Like they shoot ions in the stratosphere, and then mainly they just turn those towers up to high magnitudes that they don't usually do. Because these are, as simple as they sound, this it's really their last line of defense of what's going on, trying to counteract and oppose these higher frequencies that's coming in and that will be coming in at higher magnitudes these next few days is approaching. Wednesday through all the way on into the weekend. That's why they're gonna be trying to see the sky and make it rain and try to keep it white these next few days as well. And the temperature will be rising to 60 and 70 degrees. Many of your forecasts, you can see that. I know I don't check the news, but sometimes things happen to my homies, and I go on the site to see what's really going on versus what people telling me. And for one of the first things I saw was like 30s today and was 60s in the near future. That's a 30-degree temperature swing. A lot of people, they want to continue to remain oblivious about it, but let that be them. As far as long-term tactics they're doing, they've always had genetically modified coral reefs in the oceans, but they're making these things more powerful to try to offset the temperatures in the oceans. And there's a reason for that as far as cooling off the tectonic plates and the friction that they're generating, causing all these volcanoes to erupt and Antarctica to melt as well from high temperatures below, just as above from the photon light. They're they've created devices to siphon and take carbon out of the ethers around us. And the more carbon that's in the ether or the air, however you want to refer to it, the warmer it gets, right? That's something they figured out. Their scientists have figured out. And the less carbon that they can take out of the air, it distorts the photon light in a way as well. And if you know the chemical composition of melanin being an oxygen and hydrogen compound with nitrogen and carbon, you see how significant this can be to us higher melanated and neuromelanated beings, affecting us on a more significant scale. And being that our DEA is evolving and beginning to activate, they're trying to counteract and oppose this by siphoning carbon out of the atmosphere. And none of these things will work. They all have adverse effects. They know they're not gonna work. We at a point where they know it's nothing they can do, right? So they pretty much just attacking high frequency beings and things of that nature. Because most of them have already ran. They're trying to hide. They like I said in my last video, they ran. Some of them been hiding for years now, since 2020. And you know what? And all that went down. And during that period, it became clear to most of them that, and I say most of the archons, that it's nothing they're gonna be able to do about this. Whether you want to call it Project Looking Glass or the Yellow Cube, as far as I know and I'm concerned, you can astral travel into the future, man. You can astral travel into the future. Like, time is an illusion, as many of us know. So when with that being said, if you set your intentions and you stay at it and be steadfast with it and disciplined and make sure you do this, eventually you'll tap into the future, your own damn self, without no looking glass or none of that. But as far as these lesser ether and recessive melanated beings are concerned, they got to use devices like that they got from the evil ETs they made deals with. I'm gonna get into that in a minute too, where they already knew. A lot of this stuff is inevitable and there's nothing they can do about it. So they're really just lashing out. Like when you can't have something or you lost, what you gonna do? You gonna destroy it. Like if you playing in the championship game and time winding down, you ain't gonna win. Some people, they start trying to hurt motherfuckers, or they try to start fights. Like we see in these simulated sports. When they get angry and they want to fight because they're not gonna win the game. They just just do blatant shit. That's pretty much what's going on a lot around this room. Also, I guess I won't be able to touch down about what's really going on with these quote unquote wars and extraterrestrial activity, but right now I'm gonna continue to talk about these tectonic plates and the significance of them moving and the friction they're creating is causing these volcanic eruptions. So um, when these tectonic plates move, which is also being created by the force of Nibiru approaching, and Nibiru's force field playing um, a bigger role on what we perceive as gravity, right? As these plates continue to shift and move and restore things to their original states, uh, it's generating a lot of heat that's arising from the ground beneath us. Like many of us can attest, when we go to the bathroom and stuff, we can feel a good amount of heat coming from the toilet. And a lot of times when we use our water and we turn the cold water on, it's warm, it's hot. And that's not even going that low beneath ground surface, and it's that hot. So, you kind of get a good idea why these volcanoes are erupting from these tectonic plates and the friction creating all this heat. Antarctica is melting at a rapid rate, a rapid rate. The biggest iceberg just went afloat. It just drifted off from the continent, and so that's like saying, how can I put this? That's like saying a quarter or a third of the East Coast. I mean the Tamari. We would say Florida, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Georgia, just drifting off in the United States. That's how big of a piece of this quote unquote continent. It's really not a continent. It's really not a continent. It's a big block of ice that they created to hide a malevolent um, base that aliens use. You feel me? It's really advanced technology from another civilization, but they covered it up with ice, so a group of evil ETs can use it, or several groups to be honest. Like I told you, you got the Greys, you got the Reptoids. They all working together, right? The Draconians, the Vertilians, whatever you want to call them. They got several names, but they all use this base. You feel me? That's why you hear about a lot of extraterrestrial activity. And then they also, like I said, like we all know, they monitor the ice walls as well. You might get past the military defenses, and there's two levels of defenses along that parallel there where the ice wall is, and then you got the extraterrestrials, the evil ETs. You got them out there. That's where that base is at. That's covered by ice. So as far as Antarctica melting and the ice walls falling down, I'm gonna get into the other civilization that's on that side too, because it's our people. But divide and conquer, I'm gonna get into that. But as far as these walls falling down, you got pyramids, you got cities out in Antarctica that's not cold. And it's very inhabited by a lot of people that we perceived as dead and gone, that's unalived in this realm. They move to these cities, these hidden cities on that continent, where, like I said, not really extraterrestrial, but ancient technology. And as far as we are concerned and aware of at this point, this moment of our existence, continuing to awaken, because we will awaken. We will restart to remember everything that's out there. Right now, we starting to slowly come online. My dog heard something at the door. But that's why we slowly starting to come online and remember these things and talking about it more and more often. Give me a second. I had to check on the door. I'm gonna be real with y'all. This like my third or fourth take doing this video. I've had the first video I did. I liked it. It was good, and I had to go run and do something, and my phone went to sleep. And when I turned it back on the whole video was gone, but it was saying that there was still media to be edited, but it was gone. 1 second. But yeah, this is like my fourth take. And another video I was making, I told y'all she started barking, and there was nothing going on. It was like it was an unseen force moving amongst me. This stuff don't scare me, because I know all about these ETs, man. Like I said in my last video, there's a reason. There's important reasons they do not manifest on this plane. Number one, they won't be able to last long. Right? They won't be able to deal with the ether, the energies in the ether right now. Number two, they weak. They real weak. Like some of them, like I said, some of them don't even weigh more than a few sheets of paper. They real weak, man. Um, these the grays, right? The grays. Those ain't extraterrestrials. Those are futuristic suits. They build for their consciousness and their lower etheric energies to be able to exist in. Them things that we think are eyeballs are solar shields from higher frequencies. That's how weak they are. They came from the future to try to tell the recessive melanated people, this is how you gonna look, this is how you gonna live, you don't stop what's happening, or you don't do something about it. And that's when the invaders of Tamiri, they made this deal with them out of fear because before the evil ETs came, right, what they did was the government, I don't like using that word, that's why I call them invaders. The invaders, around in the 50s, most of the people know the story about Eisenhower. They sent off radio frequencies, right? They sent off radio frequencies through a portal from this plane, because it's in the firmament, so much like CERN, but a weaker portal, put it like that, because the frequencies was lower than they are now. So they've had to take the information with all this hidden knowledge they have about how to build portals and all that stuff for a long time. This ain't nothing new. So they use this portal to send off radio frequencies, right? And first, the benevolent beings came and or they sent them messages and they said, hey, we can help you, but you need to free our people. They pretty much got a warning about what's gonna happen now. And they said, but they agreed, say, hey, we can help you if you stop doing this, stop doing that, and we can give you clean energy and technology. But see, they wanted to control the plane. So, that wasn't gonna do them no good. So they disregarded that message. And they got another message from the evil ETs, which may have been what they wanted all along in the first place. From the evil ETs, who could come here under lower frequencies. Like the benevolent ones, they could have, but I mean, what's the point of harming yourself? And I'm going to get into this quote-unquote war and what that's really about in a second, because that kind of ties into this as far as frequencies are concerned. But what's the point of harming yourself? You're a high-frequency benevolent being, and somebody don't want your help. And you're going to be coming there soon anyway to wrap this shit up. So, I mean, you could just wait when the frequencies rise and come here under better circumstances. So they didn't come. And then the evil ones contacted them and they said, yeah, come on down, guys. And the Greys and stuff. They came here. Some of them was already here, but that was through crossbreeding. Long before the frequencies started rising. These frequencies have been rising. Like, we go through different cycles. Some people refer to them as solar cycles. We go through different cycles where the frequency subsides or lowers itself, then it rises again. So it's always in a rising state. Like this solar maximum, it's only the beginning. This is only the beginning, y'all. This is just the beginning. And they won't be able to handle the beginning of what's about to happen. So anyway, they came, like I said, during an earlier time, and they was crossbreeding. It's a guy up here, he talks about it. It's a guy on TikTok that talk about it. About the Greys that came here and started crossbreeding and put their people in place as leaders and religious leaders and political figures and all that type of stuff. So they came here in their extraterrestrial form, not being crossbred. Like they've always been here meddling around. Like I said, that's why I refer to them as archons. They've always been here meddling around and in the very closer dimensions in the astral realm, amongst that third and a half dimension I said they created by filtering the sun and altering the flow of electrons to pretty much create a subdimension here, to disregard things, the original state of things and the normality of things that happen and occur from a fourth dimensional aspect that manifests here. So they came here, and our invaders, they made a deal with them, and they gave them all this malevolent technology to further terraform the realm on their behalf. You know, even when they came here, they knew they wasn't going to be able to stop what was happening. But they figured if they could do certain things, they might hold it off longer, and it might buy them time to conduct their own experiments. Like they said, they started abducting people, taking their babies, and you know, the stories you hear about them taking Caucasoid babies is because everything evolves, right? And even though these higher frequencies will eventually start to harm them, in the midst of them rising right now, you can say they were able to get more evolved, six ether recessive melanated beings versus, you know, their own selves that inhabit these avatars they use that we perceive as grays, extraterrestrials. So what has happened now, what has transpired is our invaders' time has expired, right? So at some point in time, as their time was expiring on this land, the evil ETs went wild, you know. And when I say they went wild, I don't just mean they started controlling things or attacking things from an etherical aspect in that sub dimension, but they're able to influence these six ether beings and give them knowledge and tell them to do things. And, like, they pretty much, you could say, especially the crossbred ones, that's like, you know, half them, half human, and amongst the Dracos as well, they communicate with from another dimension, that 3.5 dimension, sub dimension. They gave them the knowledge to create devices like CERN. I mentioned this on my TikTok in another video. To create portals like CERN and things like that. And see, when they created CERN, right, one of the most significant things that happened was they started to make contact with spirits that was once here long ago, and they were admonished. You know, they were destroyed, and you know, just what's the word I want to use? Removed from this plane. I just say that, right? So they started to make contact with the spirits themselves, and the spirits was like, "Hey, go get my body." Like one infamous one a lot of us know about is Nimrod. He said, "Hey, go get my body. It's in Baghdad, Iraq," and a lot of this stuff. It's on the 33rd parallel. A lot of these mummies and these tombs, and pyramids on the 33rd parallel, because that's like a portal. That's like a portal that opens and closes at times. And or, you know, some who have mastered interstellar travel can kind of squeeze their way through this portal and create a gap and get here. You know, like I said, the Greys did in a later point in time to come from the future. It's 33rd parallel. It's a lot of stuff on the 33rd parallel. You know, a lot of stuff like Phoenix, Arizona. You know, anybody that knows some stuff there. The space stations, and like I said, so Baghdad's on the 33rd parallel. And they open up CERN, they start talking to the spirit of Nimrod. He said, "Hey, go get my body. It's in Iraq, blah, blah, blah." So they said, "Hey, there's weapons of mass destruction there. We need to go there and deactivate these stuff." And they went in there and they took that damn tomb. Because they thought they was going to be able to figure out a way to not just come in contact with this spirit, but bring it here through this portal. But the same way their ballistic missiles and their weapons of mass destruction are deactivated by benevolent beings and Anunnaki cosmic family, the same way, this portal was pretty much not completely deactivated, but deactivated in a sense. And if you know anything about science news, even before 2020, when they first built that Hadron Collider, it was going rogue. Like, they wasn't able to turn it off like several times. It just started operating on its own. They assumed it was an act of malevolence and dark spirits that was helping control this thing. What they didn't account for, that was an act of benevolence and our cosmic family. I'm keeping it on to deactivate certain things and cells in it so that the portal won't work to its full capacity as they had intended it to. So basically, they was unable to incarnate these spirits here, but not to say some of them didn't come here and started running rampant in the etheric form. If you've seen videos of these recent concerts where there's spirits jumping around the crowds and people passing out, or like waves of people falling down. Even that recent Travis Scott one where people quote unquote was unalived. A lot of that was a stunt. But and certain things is happening here where we might go through stronger attacks. It seemed like it's stronger forces that were fighting us. Some of that is a product of CERN, but they wasn't able to incarnate here in a physical sense. And speaking about that, a lot of the tombs that they removed from these pyramids on the 33rd parallel, where benevolent beings and ancient pharaohs laid, they know that the 33rd parallel was a portal and that they will be returning soon. So they also removed, them from their locations, so they're not there to be, I don't want to say reincarnated, but yeah, that's a better word. So they won't be able to be incarnated again because they've been removed from the 33rd parallel. It was something else I was going to talk about. Give me a second. Okay, yeah. So, and like this Iceland volcano, I'm gonna get into about the ice wall melting and what's beyond it. But so this Iceland volcano, that shit is very close to Antarctica. Very close. So if it's warm enough for the ground to be cracking and you got steam and smoke coming from these cracks in the volcano and magma flowing, and then you got a large piece of ice or land that has broken off. Well, I call it Icelandic land since they want to call it a continent. We just make up a term for it. You got this big piece of Icelandic land of the continent that's broken off. It's getting hot as hell in Antarctica, man. It's getting hot as shit. It might be warmer in Antarctica than it is a lot of places on this plane right now. Cause see, they rather keep the people cold rather than keep, focus so much on keeping that cold. Cause they got stronger sub-zero technologies up there that's failing, but that they using anyway. Now, as Antarctica melts and continues to melt, I've seen maps about it and I've heard people talk about it, but this civilization that they say is beyond that ice wall, that's the rest of our family, right? Divide and conquer, like I was saying earlier. So you got a whole other fleet of melanated and Anunnaki beings on the other side of this ice wall. And they're referring to it as Lemuria, and they're calling them the Lemurians, and they're calling us this Atlantis, they're calling us the Atlanteans. Which this is really quote unquote the primordial lands, which is some of the most important lands on all of this plane. All of this plane is really Atlantis and Lemuria, but that's how they would like to refer to it as such. And something, of course, we aren't that aware about because it's even further off than we can fathom right now. there's another piece arrangement of lands beyond Lemuria. There's another ice wall barrier and things of that nature. And the further out you go, the less infiltrated things are, and the more original things are. Because it's come to a point, and there's other suns out there as well. That's something else I was going to talk about in the bureau, but it's come to a point where they've kind of had to corner themselves to just this closed in area they call the Atlantis realm, and inside of these ice walls, because they've been losing power for a long time. These cycles are um, exist for thousands of years. Like this solar maximum will exist that, as far as we can perceive, for the next 6 to 8,000 years, right? So, with that being said, like I said, the frequencies continuously rise during these cycles of time. They've already lost power. The further out you go, the less power they have. And with this being the center of things, they focus more of their attention here and keeping this realm, well, this the part of this realm under light code lockdown that we know as Earth, or the known lands. That's what is known all throughout the realm. This is known as the known lands because this is where most of us know we've been held captive, and everybody else know about being that they're on the outside looking in. They call this the known lands because everybody knows about this, and not all of us know about the lands, the two different levels beyond um, this this group of land that we call Earth. I put it like that. So, with that being said, pretty much things are almost the way they originally were on the outer bands of this thing. Um, I'm sorry, I can't recall the name, but now when you get to the next level beyond this, they're they're pretty much almost back to the way they were, except they're still fighting, frequencies. We'll say the outer lands is, so let's say 70 to 80% back to full capabilities. The land we know as Lemuria, we'll say that's about 50 to 60%. And this land here should be 50%, but I'll just for guesstimations, I'll say we're at 30 to 40%. And that's only on the day-to-day shooting off a lot of lower frequencies. As you can tell, when the sun is doing this thing, you can feel the energy. You can feel all of it. But we can't operate like we should be. We don't look like we should. So that's why I say 30 to 40%. And with that being said, they're that's why they so heavily guard. They heavily guard these ice walls. These extraterrestrials, they got their base along the ice wall, and they heavily guard it. Because shit, I want to say it is. I haven't confirmed it, but as far as I know, they at war beyond these ice walls. They at war beyond these ice walls, trying to stop our family from breaking in. Once they melt, it ain't gonna be too hard. But it's almost like they got their backs to these ice walls, fighting outward. You feel me? I'm pretty sure at a greater distance. So now, when it comes to these quote unquote wars, they say they're having over in what they call Europe, right? They say they're fighting amongst each other. There's lots of videos out there of extraterrestrial and UFO activities that were happening before things were quote unquote bombed in Palestine. I'm not saying benevolent beings from off this plane bombed nothing over there. I believe they did that to create a distraction and to flood the skies so people couldn't see what was going on. They're fighting the Dracos and extraterrestrials that has turned on them, and they're fighting a lower level of Anunnaki warriors, right? And these warriors, it's like training. It's like an exhibition session for them, right? Because they already fighting on the lower frequencies, which is inhibiting them somewhat. And the governments on this plane and the countries, they do have they got a little bit of tech that's a little more advanced than we know about. Like I said, they got all our secrets. The same way they can build portals, they got knowledge of ancient advanced weapons that they're using as well to try to hold their own for the time being. But once shit hits the fan and the frequencies get where they need to be, the little chance they have now will be no chance. It's almost like I said, it's really like exhibition. But they're fighting different groups of extraterrestrials over there on that land right now. That's why they need all this funding and this money and more money. And all the countries are pouring their money over there because they fighting an off-world force to try to keep control of this plane and known lands, like I'm telling you. So you got humans, you got these six ether beings, and a few malevolent extraterrestrial forces that's on their side, fighting another group of malevolent extraterrestrials that has a different that wants to take a different approach to what's going on, and they've turned on each other. You got them fighting each other, and then you got a lower level of Anunnaki warriors that's here fighting on and training pretty much. Not necessarily fighting to win. Like I said, it's an exhibition for them. It's not nothing they taking serious. And you might say, well, when somebody gonna come save us? Why is this taking so long? Number one, we still got, not all of us, most of us, in some way, shape, or form, a lot more have more development than others, but a lot of the non-ether and up beings on this plane they have a lot of development to do. They still have to develop in consciousness, whereas you have to let that transpire. You got to let that play out, right? And that's what the Blue Kachina is helping speed up. You got the Blue Kachina, you got the Red Destroyer, you got Nibiru, you got Nibiru's sons, and then you got I forgot what it's called. They call it asteroids and meteorites. Then you got this whole field. To me, it's like a force field. They call it space dust, but you got this whole field of other pieces of the cosmos that's coming in with this force field Nibiru. Like all these asteroid showers and meteorite showers that's popping up. Those are traces of Nibiru. Now, one might say, well, I thought it was waters above the firmament, and there's no such thing in space. Okay, there is a such thing in space, right? This is theoretical. This next part I'm getting to is a bit theoretical, okay? So, there wasn't always waters above the firmament. It wasn't always like that, right? Even a lot of religious texts say, before there was a firmament, the skies was open, things was normal, and we saw stuff all throughout the cosmos, right? And after these invaders came here and took over this realm before things were finished, a firmament was put up to entrap them, so they couldn't get out. When time came for them to pay for their karma, or for us to sin and just get back, because this is what the draconian reptoids do. I'm not gonna go too far into this part because I'm reading a significant piece of literature. I finally got a hold of that's gonna shed more light on this for me. But this is what they do. This is what they have always done. They run, they run, they run, they attack, they infiltrate, they leave, they run, they run, they find another spot in the cosmos, they attack, they infiltrate. This is what they have always done. This has always been their way of working, their way of survival. Think of it like pirates, man. Like it's nothing new under the sun. Think of it like pirates. What do pirates do? They go from land to land to land. They take women, resources, technology, whatever they can find that's going to benefit them. They run some more before the cavalry comes to get their asses. So this firmament was created to entrap them, and at some point, waters was put above it to reinforce it. A lot of people would argue this theory and say, well, no, things was created like that from the beginning of time. Let me tell you something, all right? Let me tell you something. There's no way that these ancient civilizations was navigating and getting information and knowledge about things far away in the skies that they were able to confirm that things have always been like this, right? But I'm not gonna go too deep into that because that's still theoretical until I'm able to confirm more knowledge on it. Now, a lot of theories I came up with, they usually come to be true, but I don't like to just not blabber, but talk about things without some kind of divine confirmation. You feel me? I am clairvoyant. I do get messages, and I do believe in them. But a lot of people, some people, they will. What's the word? Some people will resonate, and they don't need so much proof, or they might have some knowledge of their own that they can put more pieces of the puzzle together with what you have confirmed clairvoyantly to solidify these theories. And others, they need proof, man. They argue, and they try not to. And they'll start referring back to religious books and stuff like that. And it gets difficult for them and it frustrates them. And it's not bad because everybody's on different levels and at different stages during this time. That's why I said we're waiting for development. And that's what these malevolent ETs are doing. They're trying to buy time and delay this development because they know once the development of the beings here is complete and the consciousness is restored to a certain level, which will eventually happen in the blink of an eye during the EMF. But, you rather things not happen that way because it's going to overwhelm a lot of people and they're going to reset. When I say reset, I mean like I have to get rebirthed again because it's going to be too overwhelming. Whether they commit suicide or have really bad anxiety attacks and go into, I forgot what it's called. Not cardiac arrest, it's another word. But basically like have heart attacks from being overwhelmed and stuff like that, man. But it may come to that. Not to scare anybody, it may come to that. Because, they're doing a lot of nefarious, malevolent things to delay things with what's going on. But the blue Kachina is a restorative transformer that sends restorative energy that kind of balances out the activation of the DEA amidst the destructive energy. To my knowledge to this point, the blue Kachina is like a balancer that helps restore and prevents things like that from happening. As far as being overwhelmed with anxiety from this significant influx and inflow of consciousness and energy. But I'm gonna cut this short because I like for people to be able to watch the whole video. And I know we all got life to live, so thanks for tuning in. Stay focused, adhere to the alkaline vegan diet, stay herbed up, stay informed. Stay informed as far as internally knowledge within and obtaining knowledge externally like this video or books and stuff like that you might look into. And even some good documentaries on Tubi as far as things like this are concerned. So stay informed as well. Besides all that, on love.